There we go. And let's kick off because we are just over 3 o'clock. Welcome everybody, another Wednesday, another Philotomo webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. We took a break last week. We are very eventful this May, and May being a very special and close month to us through the project as well. For those of you that might be listening to the audio later or watching it on our YouTube channel, a little bit of an intro quickly before we get into the topic for today. I am EVY MICHALOPOULOS. I am the founder and the CEO of the Philotomo Cancer Project. And May, very special to us for two reasons. One, because May is an awareness month with an awareness to cancer that's very close to our heart. It is melanoma and also brain cancer awareness. Melanoma represented by the color black ribbons, and brain cancer represented by the color gray. So if you're seeing any black and gray ribbons displayed over social media, that is because we are focusing on that over this month. And we are very blessed and privileged today to have CARA NOBLE from the Cancer Association of South Africa join us today. And she's going to be chatting to us a little bit about melanoma awareness as well as skin cancer screening. So a very interesting topic, and I see some of our champions have joined us. One of our melanoma champions also on board, Nikki. I see Nikki's joined us as well. So huge welcome to everybody. And I'm going to hand over to you, Cara, for a little short intro. And then Cara's going to share a presentation. If there are any questions during the presentation, you're welcome to pop us a chat at the bottom, or alternatively raise your hand and we'll ask Cara to pause and we can get through the Q&As. But other than that, from my side, I'm handing over to Cara. Thanks, Cara.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is CARA NOBLE. I'm the National Relationship Manager for the Cancer Association of South Africa. I'm also a social worker. I've been working for cancer for the last 10 years. And obviously cancer focuses on a whole lot of different kinds of cancers, with our main focus being research, education, and support as our core service offerings. And it's also our 90th birthday this year. So wow. It's a crazy 90 years, started in 1931 by a group of doctors who realized patients just needed a bit more than just the medical oncology. And here we are. We're so grateful to have wonderful partners like Evy and the Philotomo Cancer Project on board, and we love collaboration and working together. So yeah, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And yeah, I want to start off with a lovely video. Nikki there is, she's actually part of this video, and I think she really makes it so special. So just bear with me quickly, and yeah, then we can chat afterwards.
Thank you.
Can everyone see the video?
Yep.
Can you see? Okay, great.
Yep, that's coming on. Thank you.
Growing up, I was just a fun, very active child. I used to have problems when I was in the sun.
You don't take it too seriously, you just kept going. I remember distinctly a couple of serious burns as a child. We fell asleep in the sun around. Let me take it.
Cara, we seem to have lost the picture.
Severe sunburns in childhood in particular.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, it was back on for 2 seconds and now we've lost the screen.
Oh no. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me go back.
No problem.
Can you see it now?
No, we can hear something in the background, but we're not able to see your screen yet.
Okay, maybe it actually stopped sharing. That's so weird. Okay, hold on. Let me just start again. Oh yes, it did. It went off. That's so weird. Okay, my sincere apologies.
No problem. There we go. Looks like it's coming back on.
And now?
Growing up, I was just a fun, very active child.
Yes, can you see it?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, sorry.
I used to have problems when I was in the sun. We didn't take it too seriously. We just kept rolling.
I remember distinctly a couple of serious burns as a child. We fell asleep in the sun around the pool, so I didn't take care of my skin.
Melanoma is the most dangerous type of skin cancer. People who have Severe sunburns in childhood in particular are at very high risk of developing melanoma.
What was skin cancer at the age of 7, 8? If anything, if you've ever heard the word cancer, it's really associated with white people.
Anybody can get a melanoma. Our typical patient is somebody with a light skin tone, often with red or light hair, blue eyes, sometimes a freckly skin as well. We should be checking our skins regularly, ideally monthly, out of sight areas like the scalp and the buttocks, for example, too. The tricky thing is, of course, areas like your back. You may need a hand mirror or a committed friend or partner to help you with that.
We usually use the ABCDE to explain to people what to look for. So the A is for asymmetry. The one side of the mole or pigmented lesion doesn't look the same as the other one. The B is for the border. If it becomes irregular in the shape or even scallopy as it grows out, that would be abnormal. And then C is that the color of that mole or pigmented lesion or freckle is not uniform. And then the D is the diameter. If you think about the eraser on the back of a pencil, if it's bigger than that, but I think more importantly, changing in the size. E is for elevation or any evolution, so if the lesion becomes a little bit more raised, if it was flat before. And we usually add an F as well, which is for funny looking. So any lesion that looks different or unusual on your body.
I go into my neurologist for one final checkup. I said to her, listen, I've got this thing on my leg. She looks at it and immediately says, hold on. I need to call the dermatologist.
When we're young, we think we're invincible. But when it happens, and you come face to face with a statistical message, you don't want to hear that then. Suddenly, life becomes precious.
Your results came back, we did the biopsy, and you have stage 3 malignant melanoma. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And he says, you've got skin cancer. Because my mind literally went straight to, so I lost my dad 3 years ago. This is my ticket out. For 6 months, from March to September when I got my treatment, I was getting in the car, I was going to the hospital, I'd get on the highway, halfway there, I'd turn around and go back home, cry. I knew I was causing more damage to myself. But my biggest fear was going through chemo. What are people gonna say? They're gonna look at me, I'm not gonna have my beautiful, rich, thick, gorgeous black girl hair. You know, I don't wanna lose that.
I would never have thought that sunburn or sitting in the sun could have such far-reaching and silent impact on one's life.
Some melanomas are extremely aggressive and progress very rapidly within a few months.
So if we catch it in the very early stages, the chance that you will live for 5 years is more than 98%. If it spreads to your lymph nodes, your chance of being alive after 5 years is getting about 63%. If you have metastatic melanoma, then your chance for 5 years survival is about 20%.
For 15 years, my maths, I have been a cancer survivor. That's about 3 times the 5-year period that is quite critical when you get a diagnosis like mine.
We have very exciting new medications available for people with metastatic melanomas. In the past, we thought we can do nothing for you. If that drug can make you live 5 years longer, it gives you a 5-year good quality of life. You can see a grandchild growing up. You can see your own children growing up.
We've got a little 8-year-old. Matthew turned 8 yesterday. I want to get extremely old. I really do, because I want to see him grow old.
I got in contact with Lucy, and she advised me to get in touch with a Facebook group called Champions of Hope. Send a message in the group, and complete strangers are supporting me, telling me, young one, you have to go in. You're too young to let this thing defeat you. I could have changed my entire destiny if I hadn't made that call on the Friday to get in contact with CANSA. So CANSA literally saved my life.
Sure. It's always so heartwarming and emotional to see that. Thanks, Cara. Thanks for that.
I know we're just so blessed to have the Nikki involved with that, sharing her story and such reality. And I think one of the craziest things is that, yes, in terms of your sun-related melanomas, in terms of ethnicity in South Africa, white South Africans are definitely a lot more at risk for the sun-related ones due to the lack of melanin we have. But we're actually finding that the more aggressive melanomas are actually, and the non-sun-related ones are actually becoming more aggressive and more present in Black people on the soles of your feet, hands, palms of your hands, sometimes even in nail beds, and in areas where there's actually quite a bit of mucus, like for example the mouth, the vagina, the nose. So, and those are quite difficult ones because at the end of the day, as the dermatologists were explaining, still the same signs and symptoms apply to a mole that could have been from sun damage from when you were under 18, or for example, like Nikki, you found something on your leg. And for example, yes, Nikki did have quite a bit of sun exposure as a younger child, but what we are finding is that a lot of people are not having sun exposure in that area, and people are getting it like at the soles of your feet, for an example. That's not an area that's really getting sun exposure, like a back and a nose and a top of the head. But we are finding that melanomas are definitely more and more common, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, quite an aggressive cancer where it just grows quite quickly. Yeah. So I think it's a really lovely video, and I think I feel so happy every time I play it because I know someone out there watching is going to learn something and just get quite a fresh perspective because, you know, as Africans, we love to bra, we love to suntan, we love all the lacquer stuff. Yeah. But unfortunately, you know, our lifestyles do tend to have an impact on our cancer risk. And unfortunately, we know in South Africa now, environmental factors are definitely playing a massive role in South Africa's cancer incidence, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's so very true. You know, Cara, we talk about trying to educate the youth because of the fact that if I remember and facts serve me correct, is it takes about 5 sunburns in your childhood that can obviously cause the trouble. So you know
they say 2 major sunburns, 2, but when they're saying 2, they're saying tomato, lobster, blistering pain, you need medication. So like, you know what I mean? And a lot of people do burn like that, do you know what I mean? And then a lot of people are doing more like maintenance and regular tanning, and also they are tanning for effect. So they're on the sun, you know, they in the sun for a tan. Like my mom actually had basal cell carcinoma, which is one of the more milder kinds of skin cancer to have. But she was, they were tanning in pearl oil and baby oil when she was younger. So, and what actually set my mom's on off is actually a very common one is sunbeds. She was unwell for quite a few years with a heart condition. With my sister's matric dance, wanted to not look so pale. When said, you know, I'm gonna get like 8 sunbed sessions. And literally, when she went to the dermatologist, she was like, oh my gosh, like I can see there's been like almost like a rapid growth in this mole on your head. And she's like, are you in the sun? She's like, no, like hardly ever. He's like, what did you do that could have encouraged this mole to grow at such a rapid rate? Yeah. And then she saw the sunbed. And when I joined CANSA 10 years ago, when they brought up the sunbed thing, my mom was diagnosed 2 years in when I've been here like 8 years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, we tell people all the time about sunbeds. My mom is a sunbed statistic, but that was years ago when my sister was a matric, which is like 2005. And that was her diagnosis then already. So it is happening, you know. Unfortunately, that's quite close to home. My grandmother had melanoma. So also in her head, I don't know why, that was so worrying for us as a family, because if a lot of people don't know, if you do have a family member with melanoma, you definitely have a much higher risk. So that's why if it is in your family, I know with us, it's our, like my aunts and my grandfathers, and you know, everyone, actually my mom's side is very skin cancery. They all have them burnt out their backs regularly. My mom gets them burnt out a lot before they go bad. So it's like we like on mole watch all the time. My dad actually last week for a possible squamous cell carcinoma on his back as well. He was a beach bum for most of his life on the Durban beach. And now at 75, now he's getting funny growth and things on his back. So do you know what I mean? And you don't look at your back. It's only because we're living with us now, and obviously I'm a social worker, not a medical professional, but I also know that that's not right. And I think the best thing that the dermatologist said was funny looking. And it's true, it was funny looking on his back. I know the basics, but I was like, that's not right. I know it's not right. And I've actually found quite a few people or close people's actual skin cancers just because I'm so paranoid about it because of my family. So I don't tan. I go in the sun, I'm 50 every day. That's something actually very important that people don't even think about, is that you need to have sunscreen every day before you leave the house, especially on your face. Because that's most of the common areas is the head and the face. A lot of older guys with bald patches, that's where it hits you first. That poor little crow's nest is so exposed. Guys don't want to wear hats and caps, and so if there's a guy with a bald patch, you need to wear sunscreen, even if it's maybe a spray. It's not as hectic as a big thick one, but you just try. And your nose is the worst. So the nose, the ears, these stick out the most. And that's why a lot of people are getting the back of the neck, are so exposed on a daily basis. And then also the arms. So especially even driving, guys driving long hours, people always in the car, but those tend to be the areas most hard hit in terms of where they start initially finding things, especially when it comes to the sun-related one. So the best things anyone could do actually is wear sunscreen every day. And also not only in sunny weather, it's overcast. There's still UV rays. You must remember different kinds of UV, and an overcast day, that's the biggest facade. I don't know how many people have said, oh, it wasn't that hot today, and then I went and I got so burnt. I can't believe it. It's the UV rays from the clouds, because everyone's like, no, it's not so bad. I'm just going to no, that's actually when it hits you even worse. So, people in South Africa need to put sun cream on every day. And it doesn't actually matter what color your skin is. We do know that obviously fairer people have a higher risk. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that skin cancer is affecting everyone, and it's growing in a lot of different communities. And also for wrinkles, I think everyone wants to age nicely. So if it's just for the wrinkles, then just please apply sunscreen. If I can't get you to do it for skin cancer, just apply the sunscreen when you leave the house. But at least a 30 sunscreen is important to do to take care of yourself, and especially nose and ears and back of the neck. I can't say that more, because that's where people are getting problems. The back of your neck, you can't even see. So also if you're the family in the beach, guys, you need to really put on sunscreen. And the whole thing is that I think the biggest message we always say, no one knows your body better than you. A doctor cannot look at you and say, oh, yes, you might say, okay, that mole looks a bit odd or a bit funny. But the reality is that you need to say, this mole has grown. It's becoming itchy. It's changed shape. It looks different compared to how it was before. It started to bleed. It's, unfortunately, like, we cannot get the medical professionals to assist us more if we do not know our bodies well. And that's one of the biggest challenges with moles, is that they are all over our body. And you aren't looking at your back. You can't see your back normally. So that's why we're saying if it's in your family, and even if it's not, even if it's once a year with your family, it's very important to check. And this is why I'd like to share with you guys something called the My Skin app. They're actually one of our partners. And what we've done with them is that we have partnered with them. Okay, hold on. No, I don't know where this has gone now. Sorry. Okay. So basically it's an incredible app that you can use on your phone. So when you are going to a doctor or a dermatologist, some of them are offering mole mapping. So can everyone see my screen? I'm not too sure if you could see.
Yeah, we can see now. Thank you.
Okay, so basically the whole point of mole mapping is basically managing your moles. So this is actually really good for people who feel they've got a family history, and as well as people who have had skin cancer before and want to manage their risk. So I'm just scroll down now. So just to show you, so for an example now, it shows you how to do it. For example, you'll take a picture of the major areas of your body. It'll say back, left arm, right arm, chest, legs, back of legs, etc. And then what it does is that it actually manages your mole. So now, for example, when you come back here in like 6 months' time, and it gives you a reminder, then you'll scan yourself again, and then it'll tell you, you know what, we've noticed. So for example, can you see this one, the third one? And it says 14th of the 9th, 2020. This mole measured at 7 millimeters, and 92 days later, it measured at 9 millimeters. Please, can you get this checked? Because can you see it's changing?
Yeah.
So it's such an amazing opportunity. So it's not a diagnosis. A growing mole doesn't necessarily mean it's cancer, but it's more about being aware, because I'd rather a dermatologist say, okay, yes, it is growing, but it's okay, but watch it, then I don't have anything at all. Also with people with recurring skin cancer, and the problem is that skin cancer recurs. So my mom has had many basal cells returning. Like every year she has more. Like literally they come 3-4 years. They come all the time. So like it's good for me, you know, I always take a picture of her back and her front and her top of it. I take pictures of everywhere as well. It gives us our, I think our 3 or 4 month checkup, like reminder, and then you go back again. So it is really great for monitoring and managing. So it's called the My Skin app. It's MII Skin. Yeah, it's really great, and it's available on the App Store. There's a free version that's really great, and there's also like a paid for version that has more like lovely opportunities, like more other more fancier features. But the free one is also great, and this is a really, really great way that we can really help people, and that from the basic of their own home, and that if something is picked up or you pick something else, you go straight to your GP or dermatologist. So it is no way taking away, but it's also your own self-management. And it's the same with any kind of cancer, like the ones we can get to, like your breasts. We need people to examine their breasts monthly. Do you know what I mean? We need guys with testicles to manage their testicles monthly. Some parts of our body need more regular checkups, and it needs to be more regular. And with moles, it's the same. 3 to 4 months is a good time to check your moles, have a stop over with family members. And it sounds crazy and, oh, no, I don't have time. But at the end of the day, that silliness is saving lives, because people, the way melanoma is, it's sometimes not as obvious as another kind of cancer. It is becoming, it's hard to detect. And it's not fair that people, and so the thing is that it is the most common cancer, but it's actually the causing the highest deaths. That's actually the challenge. More people are dying of melanoma than they are of squamous cell carcinoma, or if they're dying of basal cell, because they're just more manageable cancers. So the death rate is quite high. And that's also due to the fact of a late presentation of cancer, because people aren't looking for it. And also that's also the biggest challenge we found, which is why Naniki's voice is so important here, is because people of color are not looking for skin cancer. The perception is that it's Kaposi's sarcoma, which is more an HIV-related cancer, and that is a more common skin cancer. But at the end of the day, it's not. We know so many Black people getting melanoma, and aggressive melanoma behind their knees, exactly where Naniki found it. It's common, the soles of the feet. Those are really Black challenges. So it's really so important that everyone needs to look after their bodies and know, are there little nodules, are there little moles, little bumps? Unfortunately, in this day and age, we have to take better care of ourselves, and no one knows your body better than yourself. And if you don't look after yourself, no one else can look after you, because you don't have information to inform your doctor, etc., when you see a change. That's why this is 4 monthly, but your other ones are just, for example, breast examination is monthly. And then you get to know your breast and you feel, oh, okay, this wasn't there. Oh my gosh, there's a lump on the right-hand side. That is invaluable. It's invaluable to say that I feel something here. That is early detection. That literally can save your life, because you're picking it up after 4 months instead of waiting for 2 years for a mammogram and not looking or touching at your boob.
Yeah,
which is a huge challenge. So it's a culture change. We're really trying to get people to think of self-examination and realize the value that, yes, we need doctors and professionals, but you need to do the work at home, especially if there's a risk in your family.
Yeah, you have to. And I think part of the biggest challenge we face in today's day and age is the challenge of the cost of sun care products. They are not cheap, and of course we understand why, because they've got qualities in them that prevent cancer and prevent and keep our skin, which is our biggest organ, safe. But maybe your thoughts on how we can assist in getting sun care products to people that obviously cannot afford these products on their shopping lists every day. I mean, it's, as you say, it's something you should have every day, but, we should. After COVID,
It's a massive challenge. I think there obviously are different makes of sunscreens. We know that we endorse a lot of sunscreen, but it's all gone through rigorous testing. We've done massive testing in South Africa on sunscreen, and through massive testing a few years ago, we found like way over 60 or so brands that were not even compliant selling it on South African shelf. So there are huge challenges in South Africa with compliance, but CANSA has our CANSA Smart Seal on sunscreens that we vetted and checked their processes and the ingredients, etc., that are in line with the South African, the SABS standards. And CANSA also had a role in rewriting the SABS standards for sunscreen according to the European standards, because our standards were far too low in the acceptance of the quality of the ingredients of sunscreen. So that's something we are very proud of. But so there are like some house brands, etc., that do have different kinds of sunscreen, some supermarket chains, pharmacies, etc., and also some fancier ones that do have our logo on as well. So there are a variety of ones from more entry-level cost to more expensive. But at the end of the day, it's also things like wearing hats. And that's why CANSA is very passionate about a wide brimmed hat. But not a wide brimmed hat with holes through, because that's not going to help you. It's still going to make your face, it needs to be like a tightly woven with a broad brim hat. Make sure that it's covering your neck and your ears and your nose. Caps, we don't really like caps as such because the ears are exposed in the back of the neck. Only here is safe, which means the ears are at risk, the back of the neck again. But, a hat is a hat, but obviously a tightly woven wide brim is best. It also sometimes gives your chest and neck also a bit of safety. And also people need to wear long sleeves. Obviously we do know people that could afford it. There are sports people use UV armbands and UV vests and stuff that really make a big difference, especially for sports people. But those that can't, people working in the sun for long hours, they're wearing long sleeves. They're wearing long pants, they're covering their skin. People use umbrellas, people only sit under trees, they're not sitting. So I think unfortunately, it's about having creative ways to limit your sun exposure, wearing sunglasses. As long as it's UV 400, doesn't have to be the most fancy brand, but UV 400 is a standard UV protection within even like a cheapy sunglasses that can still make a difference. So just about when you are in the sun, you're in direct sun, try your best to protect yourself. And I think that is a challenge, definitely, the lack of affordability of sunscreen. But for example, if you're on an umbrella wearing a hat, do you know what I mean? You're going in and out. So, it's definitely a tough one. And in an ideal world, we want everyone to wear sunscreen. We not everyone can afford it. But at the end of the day, there are other ways you can also protect your skin. Like a lot of the kids are wearing the rash vests, do you know what I mean? They wear the long sleeves, especially with kids, those are best. The long sleeves, or at least the short sleeves and the full pants, limiting their back exposure, etc. So I know it kind of plays against the ideology of being a gorgeous bikini and golden brown and no umbrella. But at the end of the day, I think it's everything in balance and moderation. And people need to look after their skin. As you said, it's the biggest organ of the body. And our culture kind of doesn't really like this whole cover-up thing. But if you look at Australia and all the other countries around the world that have such high incidence of skin cancer, that's what they're doing. Like if you have a child in a bikini, they're going to frown upon you in the mall, at the beach, you know what I mean? Because their skin cancer incidence is extremely high. So I think countries are moving along towards this ideology that we have to cover up, we have to protect ourselves. We have to do what we have to wear hats. So obviously someone that's possibly not wearing sunscreen, that's wearing like a more, like the kids, like more like a little suit and a hat, have a lot more protection than someone that's wearing just a little bikini bottom with no hat and no sunscreen. So do you know what I mean? I think it's all about weighing those options up, but just being aware and trying to protect your skin as best you can, with obviously first prize being sunscreen. But yeah, very challenging question, one I don't like, because I wish I had a simple answer for it, but no, I don't.
Yeah, I know. Let's see, perhaps if anybody's got a question. Anybody want to ask Cara something at this point? I don't know if Naniki is wanting to say something. Naniki, can you hear us? Let's see if she's...
No, I can hear everything.
How's it?
Hey, guys. Hey, Cara.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm good. No, I don't have really any questions. I'm just, taking notes. I'm always taking notes. Yeah. I think what you mentioned with the what's that? Kaposi, I think you said the skin cancer
sarcoma.
related with people who
Have
yeah
HIV.
that. So I'm just taking note of that. I'm trying to figure out, how can I incorporate that in, when I go and do talks, how do I, connect that with people? Because very much so in the Black community, I still kind of get some resistance from people when I talk about skin cancer in relation to us. So if I can even bring it close with the whole HIV thing, I think it could give people, another perspective to skin cancer. So I'm just taking notes, Cara.
No, because the thing is that it's like in different communities, there's different prevalence of different things. So it's
Yeah.
if you say melanoma to different races, they'll be like, oh yes, melanoma. But then, and for example, like it's just the way South Africa works. Or for example, like they might not know anything about Kaposi, but then for example, others will know about like Kaposi sarcoma, never heard of melanoma. That's why in South Africa, it's such a cultural challenge for us because there's different incidents of different cancers amongst different race groups. So it's not just like prostate affects men. Like for example, like we know that yes, prostate cancer affects all men in South Africa, but we know that the most aggressive prostate is with Black men, for an example. They've got the most aggressive kind of prostate cancer. But whereas white men are, yes, they are getting it, but it's not at the aggressiveness and angriness it's now showing up in Black men. So it's so difficult when you have a message about prostate cancer and you're trying to deal with boundaries of culture and religion. And, we have 11 national languages, which means 11 kinds of people. Plus we have like our Asian friends and everyone with all different backgrounds and cultures. And we're just trying to get to the fact that take care of yourself. But then, certain things are taboo. Talk about a cervix is not always going down well in all communities. Don't talk about my cervix. Don't look at me. Like, don't talk about my prostate next to my penis. Do you know what I mean? It is so difficult for us to reach people with the message that take care of your body, and obviously different races and cultures respond better to some. Some cultures are more conservative. They want us to be so outspoken and say it how it is, which is so difficult. So trying to make every South African happy in all campaigns when one cancer is affecting so many people is such a challenge for us. So we are trying our best to be relevant and to try and really focus on possibly the highest affected group per cancer as such, because obviously those are the people that are obviously being the most effective, the most affected. So, but obviously want to reach all people because everyone needs to be aware of things. So it's a conundrum. It's not as simple as one key message, like examine your breast. Like a lot of, we did actually a really great breast examination video, and it wasn't taken well by, we got a complaint from one of the pharmacies it played in, saying it was too sexual. Sure. Because the lady was examining her breast in a cartoon. And then we said, but like sexual, like, it's because for example, you can't show like a real person because obviously it's that you can't have a real boob on there, which we understand. And then they said that the people sitting at the pharmacy, 2 people complained and felt uncomfortable while watching the breast examination video. So, we like it's not easy.
No sympathy for that. Can I ask you, Cara, about the sunbed? I mean, the sunbed, we know the damage that the sunbed does. We have a champion who's, it's in her story.
Yeah,
Siobhan, yeah. How the sunbed caused, well, I don't know, some kind of skin cancer.
Yeah.
Why did we ban these things? If there's clear evidence that
we tried. We did in about 2011, we did, when I first came to CANSA actually, we did a massive drive on signatures for a ban, and it wasn't a priority because of the much bigger fish needed to fry. And I know I was part of that. At one event, I got like 2,500 from like 2 schools. We had amazing support from St. John's and St. Mary's, Waverley, to get that going. And we did so much awareness and education, especially amongst schools and matrics. And then obviously just people love a sunbed. Do you know what I mean? But the problem is that cancer doesn't like any tanning whatsoever. So we're not going to say have a sunbed, rather use a tanning oil, because we don't like anything that's making your skin darker than it should be. We don't like anything making your skin lighter than it should be. Just be you. Just don't make yourself darker. We always say, like, the darker you want to be lighter, and the lighter you want to be darker. We don't know what's going on. Yeah, we don't know what we want. We don't know what we want. But it's such a challenge, and it's like people want an alternative, and we say we don't believe there's one, because staining your skin, like, it can't be really good for you. You know what I mean? And the same with skin lightening, like, it can't be good for you to keep bleaching your face with horrifically controlled lemon products to make you fairer. And the same goes for people making their skin darker with certain spray tans, all that stuff as well. So people want us to have an alternative, but we are saying we don't recommend anything at all, because nothing has been deemed safe, because still the chemicals and pigments that are in there, we do not agree with as an organization. So it's very difficult. It's like prying. There's just some topics that are very difficult, that don't go down well. And so, okay, fine, I'll set the tanning bed, but I look gorgeous, and now what? And then we say, okay, but then the ingredients in these oils you're using, they last, you know what I mean? Like, it's not good for your skin. Like, it's absorbing it. It could go in your bloodstream. Like, what are you putting on? It's a very difficult conversation. A lot of difficult conversations that I have to have. And not everyone likes the response, but yeah, we have a lot of things, but we don't budge on principles.
Yeah.
So yeah, but definitely, I think there was some stuff that came up again recently about sunbeds, but we really tried. We had quite a few signatures, and it was put on the back burner because they were told it's not a priority, they'll get to it. And I was like, a very long time ago. But it's definitely, I don't even know why they sit around. It's like there's so much research showing that they literally cause skin cancer. Like, we have people walking around everywhere, unfortunately. Thank God they're still walking around as literal survivors of sunbeds, if I can say that. Do you know what I mean? It's so many people, and these salons and people and apparent beauty salons are literally still doing it.
Yeah. And apparently the fingernail ultraviolet machine also causes damage.
So there's another hard question, Cara. What about 99%?
Hard questions. I love them. Yeah, because it's UV in it. So it's like that's the thing. Like, any exposure to, like, not good things you aren't getting on a daily basis. Like, it's just more exposure to UV. So obviously there's just so much access to UV, and it's affecting our bodies in different ways. And obviously there are certain melanomas. It's a rarer one, but it's still happening with melanoma and fingernails. So it is very difficult. Like, the different kinds of UV ray lamps that have less UV than others. The older ones are having a lot more. I know the nail industry was trying to, but even for us, nail places come on board, want to work with us, and we just can't, because it's so difficult.
Yeah, it's hard to get. And I mean, sometimes I think a lot of the times, we have questions where people say they're having an event coming up, or a function, it's a wedding, or it's someone's matric dance, or it's something special that they're going to, and they want to have a nice golden tan kind of thing. And they say, well, the alternative to not going to the sunbed and not spending hours in the sun is to get an organic spray tan. So what are your thoughts? I mean, I know you touched a little bit about, using
I think it depends on the ingredients, because it might be organic, but certain things are carcinogens, which means cancer causing. So it can be organic as the sun, but if X is a carcinogen, then it's what it is. And obviously, who has massive carcinogen lists, like, for example, alcohol, tobacco, processed meats, we know that certain ingredients and certain asbestos, certain things are like carcinogens, you know what I mean? And for example, they have different ratings. So some carcinogens are really high up there, like a 1, 2, or 3. So like a 1, like a tobacco and smoking, means long-term exposure will cause cancer. We're not playing, we're not thinking, it literally will, it will. Lots of sunburn, it will cause cancer. It's not even a consideration. Then other things go, it's layered in terms of like incidence of and an exposure, and then some are lower. So some, yes, are not good, but the exposure, it's kind of like the less exposure, it kind of, but just some things are like 100% very bad for you, very damaging. long-term effects in terms of a cancer risk. So people have to make the choice. Obviously, I would assume having something that's organic would be a better option. Yes, I would assume it's a better option than being sunburnt and going on a sunbed.
Yeah.
But again, it all depends on the ingredients and on your research to make sure there's nothing in there that could be detrimental, because obviously it's not normal for your skin to be that color, which means you're putting a chemical in your skin. It might be organic, but it still might not be good for you. So I think it's about doing your own research on your products and making sure you're making a good decision and checking if there are any carcinogens in their parabens, etc., that could be detrimental to you. So yeah, everyone must make a decision that's good for them, but like I understand, like, you know what I mean? If you look, especially for a woman, like maybe a typical day, you know, you have a function, get your nails done, you want to go and get your spray tan done, then, do you know what I mean? It's like there's so much exposure over on your cell phone all day, your cell phone's in your pocket. There's just exposure. Then you want to have a bra that evening, you like your chops nice and crispy and black and nice on the edges. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and then you want to have 4 beers, like the day is just bad. Like it's such a good day at the same time. It's just really difficult to like make better choices. Yeah. And it's really hard because, you know, with our culture, it's Africa, we love drinking, we love sun, and we love to bra. And like, that's literally the 3 most favorite African things that it goes across any culture, you know what I mean? Like there's some things that bring a nation together, and that is literally the sun, bra, and drinking. You know what I mean? Those are our 3 favorite things. And we have challenges with all of those, which it's so difficult because it makes us the party poopers, but we have for research, for education, and for the real messaging, because unfortunately so many South Africans are affected by cancer, not only melanoma, but just so many, and making better choices, having your chop less finished would be just like one better option.
Yeah. And Cara, tell me a little bit about, so say for example, and we'll talk briefly about our champions that are going to be present at our upcoming events. And I think it's, you know, I hear you talk about the challenges and how difficult it is to reach out to certain cultures. And I think, and I believe very strongly, and that's what Philotima was about, is that the more people that we put together, where we can get to reach different areas and different, you know, different races, different cultures, is so important, because, you know, just one person advocating one thing to so many different nationalities and, you know, that kind of field is too difficult, you know. But what I wanted to ask you is, say, for example, someone's noticed that they've got a mole, they've gone to the doctor or dermatologist, and their biggest stress in their mind is, first and foremost, you know, is it cancerous? And then I think most, you know, the second thing that always kicks in is like, gosh, what is the treatment? You know, so can you touch a little bit on about, and I know Naniki's got a question, and I will get to you now, Naniki, just after this. What are the treatment options of melanoma? So, you know, that might be something that people are not known, you know, don't know much about.
So there actually are quite a few options, I think, but the first thing that will always happen is just obviously surgical removal of the mole, to send for testing through a biopsy. So that is definitely one of the biggest, the first things that happen is obviously surgery for biopsy, and then it'll get tested. It depends on what the results say. Like, for example, is it benign? Is it a surface area? Or is it deeper, like a squamous cell now going into melanoma, where it's got roots and it's deeper down and needs to be cut out, more tissue can be affected, but initially it's a surgical biopsy, and then there are different options. There is sometimes radiation that's done as well. There is chemo, again, like as the dermatologist said, has it gone to the lymph nodes? It just depends, like the level of where the melanoma is in your body. If it's still more in the skin, in the surface area, like how deep has it gone? Obviously, if it's at an early stage. So if I can just do a very like simple way of explaining, it's kind of like when you have the staging. So for example, like stage 1 means one place controlled, it's there, okay? Stage 2 means it's growing, but it's in one place. Stage 3 is saying it's now in 2 places, and it's moving. And stage 4, it's saying it's 2, 3 or more places. That's the simplest way to explain staging. So it's not actually defining your death warrant. That's how most people see it. And stage 3, you finish. It's not like that. It's for the doctors. I always say this. It's not for the public to judge you. It's actually for the doctors to say, this is how hard I've got to work here in this person's body, because it's not just in one place. I work my butt off now because it's now on the leg, by the side, and in the hip. So now it's their tool and their guide on their protocols and how to assist the patient better. And look at Aniki, there she is, beautiful and live and kicking. And she was stage 3. Yes, girl. So it's just about the fact that it's for the medical professional. Yeah. And that plays a major, major role, because it just really depends on, and that's the thing with any kind of cancer. How advanced is the cancer depends on how advanced and deep the treatment has to be. Initially, a removal, sometimes a bit of radiation can be done. There's also there's also like an injectable radiation now with interferon. There's so many different options, but again, it depends on the staging of the cancer, depending if it has gone into the lymph nodes, etc., compared to if it's just still in the skin in the same place and could be done based through a surgical removal of the area. So a lot of things come into play, but if it is the lymph nodes and deeper, then you'll have to have full-on chemotherapy, etc. But a lot of the times, not everyone has to have that, depending on the staging of the cancer. But yeah, the initial phases are always a biopsy and a surgical removal with a biopsy, and that will then advise us on the professionals and what to do further. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Nikki's question.
So sorry, I'm going to take you guys just one step back. Cara, when you were mentioning, just the prevalence of, melanoma, so to say, in people of color, there was something that I remember even, growing up as a child, my family, right, we have this dark line in our nails. And I always thought, it's just a heredity thing. That's how we're a family. And we used to joke around it, about it with my cousins. If you didn't have it, you're not part of the family type thing. Until I then discovered, ridiculous. Until I now discover that, that's like a sign of, is that a sign of melanoma? Is it a sign of skin cancer? And if everybody in my family has it, how come I'm the only one who got this cancer?
No, man. You see, the line would no. You see, then they'd all be in the same boat as you. But no, I think what they're saying is that there's some people do get it in the nail beds, and obviously you would see that there would be a challenge within the nail bed itself. So I don't think it'll be a simple line. Do you know what I mean? It'll be a lot more. It'll be oozing. It'll be very different.
It's quite prominent, and like you can see it in my uncle's nail, especially. He has the darkest of it all. Like this one particular nail is just really, really just ugly looking, just truly disgusting. And then everybody else's ones just look a little bit lighter than what his looks like.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure about that one, because normally like a line is not really associated with it. If that is an ugly nail, then maybe it needs to get it checked out if you're worried about it. But what they're just saying is that the non-sun melanoma favors certain areas, like weirdly the palm, the underneath of the foot, nail bed, sometimes in the mouth, you know what I mean? And even sometimes women in the vagina, like they've had vaginal melanomas as well, which is insane. So it's just, I think that's a difficult one. But if you think that nail looks ugly, he should get it checked out anyway.
Oh, he doesn't care about it. I've said it to him 1,000 times. He doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's a bit, we've got so many challenges, but getting people to go when they don't want to go is also huge. But if people don't want to go, they want to go. We can try our best and convince them and toy and beg them, but people don't want to go, they don't want to go, and we have to respect the choices. But at least you've done your part. You've told him, you've shouted him, you begged him, and at the end of the day, we all account for our own health and our own situations. So that's not your responsibility that he needs to get checked out.
I've done my job.
You've done a good job as a Cancer Warrior Ambassador, sharing, educating, and they're not going to listen to a very smart woman, then we can't do more than that, which is very difficult.
Melanoma in the vagina. There was a lady I sat with in one of the support groups, and she mentioned that she had melanoma in the vagina, and I honestly thought, I was like, she's lying to me. This doesn't make any sense, until I went on and I was really reading about how in the world does one even discover that.
That is a challenge. It's got such poor symptoms, and that's the problem with melanoma. Like you could have this on the bottom of your foot for like your whole, you don't even know. You don't feel it. Like, and I think that's the problem. That's the scary thing about skin cancer, is that it's not busting out or leaking or oozing, or, you know what I mean? It's just kind of very silent. It's just kind of going on. Hence why we're like, that's why if it looks funny, if something is different or weird or changing, or like you said, that nail sticks out because most nails are clear. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that kind of awareness you have of your body that's different. And I think that is the biggest challenge we have, is that people not taking care of themselves in all departments, not only with skin, but just not taking better care of their body. It's not about being paranoid now of everything, but if something has changed or different, whatever it is or area of the body, you need to be more aware, because people are dying of cancer in South Africa at crazy rates. And it shouldn't be happening, because if it just comes 6 months earlier, like, they would have been absolutely fine.
Yeah. And I think, you know, Cara, I think the biggest reason why perhaps these cases come a little bit later than what they should is that I think people fear. You know, it is a fear. It is a fear. You know,
it's so scary. Just like Nikki said, people have seen chemotherapy in the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I have not had cancer myself, but literally my whole family, as my dad, my mom, my both grandparents, and my best friend passed away of cancer. And I've loved people that have cancer, and I'm a medical social worker, but I still have not had chemotherapy. So I cannot tell you what that's like. But what I do know is that it's terrible and it's hard, but it is saving lives. So at the end of the day, with cancer, it's going to get worse before it's going to get better, because the thing people don't realize is that cancer is growing and spreading in your body. The role of chemotherapy is to stop the cancer spreading. And unfortunately, cancer is identified as an actively dividing cell. It's like growing like this. Unfortunately, that's what your hair and your skin, your eyebrows and your nails, and like the mucus in your mouth and stomach are also like this, rapidly dividing cells, always rotating, changing, growing. That's why when you have chemo, it's stopping everything actively dividing, which unfortunately includes those kind of areas as well, to stop the cancer going everywhere. Like we said, going into stage 3, going into stage 4, so that when the doctor gets you, they can block you, stop it where in its tracks, operate, flush your body, and then wait, see how it goes, and make sure they've stopped the spread. So, and that's what people, you know, yes, but that is going to make you feel terrible. No one has ever said chemo is wonderful. No one's ever marketing that. But what we are saying is that because of what it needs to do, the cancer spreading all over your body, it's stopping the spread. And obviously we say chemo very loosely, but there are like many types of chemos, because of the fact that it's based on your height, your weight, your underlying conditions. People might be getting the red devil, but they're probably getting like 20 verified types of the red devil, because you have heart disease, this lady has diabetes, that woman has very bad cholesterol. And so basically oncologists are magicians mixing your own very mixed masala just for you, because Naniki is 50 kgs and you are 93. Now, obviously, you cannot give Naniki the same type of red devil that a 93 kg person is taking compared to a 50 kg. She'll be knocked off her socks. Yeah. So all these things are taken into consideration. It's not a one size fits all. These are incredible professionals literally making potions of yes, it's a red devil, but so many things are taken into consideration to assist you with your condition, etc. So the fear is real, but I think the more we can educate patients and understanding what is happening to them, to make them feel like, okay, I know why I'm having this chemotherapy, I know what's happening to me, and I'm really scared, but I'm going to make a decision to do it or not, which we respect, because everyone has a choice to make, and we'll hope you go forward, because we've got proof it is saving lives. But no one is ever saying it's wonderful. No one is saying that. We're saying it's going to be hard, but we're here to support you. We can help you, and people have amazing results on it, despite the fact that it's really, really hard.
Yeah, 100%. And before we close off, I see we're almost at 4 o'clock. Is there anybody else that has a question before we start ending off?
Cara, I have one question. I believe there's a link between melanoma and breast cancer, and my dermatologist actually said it's the BRCA gene.
Yes, as a secondary cancer. So we're finding a lot of women that are having normally breast first, and then a few years later getting melanoma as like a secondary cancer. but there definitely is a link with a lot of patients with breast cancer with melanoma, especially with the BRCA gene. That's definitely correct, yes.
Wow.
But again,
that's more bad news.
no, man, you know what? No, you know, the thing is that sometimes you have to have open discussions, but at the end of the day, it's definitely not bad news. We have to talk about these things so we become more aware. It's not to make us scared and fearful, but a more empowered person can make better decisions and can detect their cancer early. And also, so we actually are having clinics. I just want to quickly share my screen for this last 1 minute. We've partnered with Novartis, and they are very, very passionate about melanoma reduction in South Africa. Can you guys see my screen? I'm on our Facebook page, the Cancer Facebook page.
Yeah, we can see it. Thank you.
We have a really lovely Facebook page. Please come and follow us. It's called the Cancer Association of South Africa. Sorry, I'm just a bit fast. It's also International Nurses Day, so shout out to all the fantastic nurses. So basically, if you go on our page, we have a service called a Cancer Photo Finder, which is basically assisting people with rating a mole and it's a skin screening for a mole you are concerned about. If there is a mole that you are concerned about, you can come to your cancer care center. We will do a photo finder screening and then do a referral letter if there is a mole that looks a bit suspicious. So basically, Novartis has sponsored 6 clinics for us around the country. In PE, we have Bedfordview and Joburg, Roodepoort, we have Durban, PE and Richards Bay. So if you would like to come, we have certain days into the month. As you said, Evy, obviously it's Skin Cancer Melanoma Specifically Awareness Month. So if you do have a mole you're concerned about, you can come for free on these days at these clinics, and we can assist you. So we'd love to see you there. Just go to our Facebook page, and as you can see here, all the information's here, all the posters are here with all the addresses and dates and who you can call to book. And yeah, we'd love to see you guys there. Unfortunately, not everyone, as you said, finances are hard right now, so it's 6 days across the country of free screenings. So yeah, I hope people will take advantage of it, and you can also share, hopefully you also share that even on your page so people can have access to that.
Yes, thank you. I actually have received 2 of those from Olivia for the Bedfordview branch, I think.
Yes, and the Roodepoort one as well.
Yes, so I'm going to share that today on the groups, and I will also share them, on the social media as well. And yeah, I think, we're ending off May with a bang this year. So I'm sure most of you have heard, we're hosting our second Philotimo Ultra Marathon of Honor. And our brand ambassador is doing this again. He's challenging himself to 115 kilometers in less than 12 hours. So our hero is running all the way from a little town called Parys, and he's ending in Bryanston. And we're hosting an entire day's event at the dealership. So BMW Bryanston on William Nicol will be hosting us for the entire day. And we're going to be focusing a lot of the attention on melanoma awareness. So I must also thank our awesome Philotimo melanoma champions. Naniki will be there, Chantal will be there, Siobhan will be there, Nicola will be there, and Bianca will be there. All our melanoma champions, they will be there to share their stories. They will have their own booth where people can come and take photographs with them. So those that are listening, please come and join us. CANSA is also going to be there. I think Angelique and Mandy are joining us, and they are going to be doing their sprayathon. So everybody that's coming, come and get your hair sprayed, come and support our partnered institution, CANSA. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome day. Lots and lots of awareness about melanoma, skin cancer, the facilities that CANSA can provide to the general public that a lot of people are not aware of. So a lot of that information will be shared on the day. So come and join us 29th of May at BMW Bryanston, and we hope to see you all there soon. But other than that, from our side, once again, a huge thank you to our partner institution, CANSA, Cancer Association of South Africa. I like the CANSA version, it's a bit shorter.
Short and sweet, yes.
Short and sweet. And thank you to you, Cara, for sharing so much information with us. And we talk about skin cancer often, and I think we've had about 3 or 4 webinars, and Nikki's done awesome with her webinar that she's done with us. I think it was a month ago or so. And, you know, we can't talk enough about it. So it's just one of those topics.
So important.
Yeah, you know, it is one of the second, or one of the top 5, if I could say. I don't know if it's second or third after breast cancer, but it's one of those topics that we will constantly be talking about throughout the year, and not just only in May, because we need to get people to become more aware of their biggest organ, which is the skin. So
yeah, we need to.
I think when people start to understand it that way, it starts to make people think and wonder and think twice. So let's give them options. Yeah. That's what we're here to do. We are here to educate.
Exactly.
We are here to give people choices, so that the better choices and decisions they can make, the better result they get. So guys, again, once again, thank you. Please come and join us on the 29th. We are very excited to host you all. And other than that, be safe. We will be doing another session on Wednesday. I will share the links. I will also share Cara's details on the YouTube video link. So if anybody has any questions and wants to chat to Cara directly, Cara, is that okay that I share your email address? And
that's perfect. They're more than welcome to email me. Thank you so much.
I'll do that. I'm going to share the link later on this evening with Cara's details. And yeah, other than that, guys, be safe. Enjoy the rest of it. And we see you next Wednesday.
Okay, take care. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Pleasure. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.